I don't know, Greg, I think that was about the same 30 to 40% as the people who heard about Love Love Live.
We like them.
Yeah, we gotta get the word out. So, all right, let's start with a little sneak peek of some of the character work we've been doing. You know, we've been actually working towards bringing some characters back and introducing some new characters. We've got some new designs here. And here's some animatic work. It's like the process we were going through. Remember early on when we were showing samples in Shadow Chronicles when we were starting to do test shots, and this is all early animatic stuff. And this is one animatic we had shot. This is Mr. Cesar Tuturo, and put the shot together for Robotech Academy. And wait till you see what the final shot looks like. It's unbelievable. So this is we're doing the previs for it. And another model that we built is the SDF3, the old way. Now, how many of you are familiar with Robotech the Sentinels? How many of you wish we did more with the Sentinels universe? That's what we're talking about. So, Carl Masick, back in 2000, when he moved back to Los Angeles from Texas, we started working on Robotech together again. And one of his pet projects, he wanted to do something about the Children of Zord, which was the Robotech Masters was such a large organization, it just would collapse completely. There would be holdouts left among them. And he had this organization called the Children of Zord, which was going to be the last remnants of the Robotech Masters, trying to raise up the Robotech Master Empire once again. And he was going to have this as one of the subplots of the Sentinels. And fortunately, the story didn't get that far. And he also knew that a lot of the surprise had kind of run its course in that the Sentinels novels and comics had already come out. And he had this novel idea in which he was going to introduce a new set of characters. And there were a lot of people who, you know, they did see the Sentinels and they kind of thought it had lost a little bit of the original Robotech vibe. Is one of the things that's interesting in the original take of the Robotech, the Macross Saga and the New Generation, is that it's a journey by the characters. And the journey, that journey aspect of the adventure is what makes it so interesting. And so he wanted to put that journey aspect in the Sentinels universe with the young cast of characters. One of the things that's going on in the Robotech universe is that we have age inflation. You know, we have Rick Hunter, the young little kid, you know, and everybody's ending up captains, generals, admirals, just, you know, medals everywhere and ranks everywhere. And so introducing a new group of younger characters in Robotech Academy, set in the Sentinels universe. And it is when the parents, the officers of the Robotech Expeditionary Force, are going out into deep space. They are leaving their children behind in the academy. The best and the brightest are going there to learn about advanced robot technology. And so, but the drawback is by learning about advanced robot technology, the academy itself also becomes a target. So here's some of the character designs we have. And you'll notice by the logo, this is something we're actually putting up on Kickstarter. This is one of these side projects that had been kicking around back in Humble. And we thought, since this is one of those projects that Carl Masick had left unfinished, and it's one of those things where we kind of think, wow, you know, wouldn't it be just a terrible shame if we left it unfinished and it was left to become forgotten? Because Carl was so secretive about this that, you know, at the time he passed away, no one had any idea that he was working on it. You know, other than the scripts that he was turning in. You know, unfortunately, it was one of those things where it would be a terrible shame to let all this work, you know, pass away. We're kind of determined not to let that happen. So here's actually the Kickstarter video where we have some of the folks talk about the campaign, and so here we'll play it for you.
I'm Greg Snagoff. I'm one of the original members of the creative team, along with Carl Masek, of Robotech. Robotech Academy was one of Carl's dreams to bring the Robotech universe to a whole new level, a whole new generation of fans.
Part of Carl's sort of vision for Robotech Academy pulls in the children of the original group of characters, but on a totally new adventure set in the Robotech Sentinels world.
Let's see what this P-shooter can do.
I'm really excited about Robotech Academy because we finally get to address a question that fans have been asking for a very long time. What about the Sentinels? Well, now with Robotech Academy, we finally get to revisit that universe that Carl created.
His mind was so creative. He was always thinking of ways to bring in new storylines, new characters. He loved the Sentinels, and he wanted to focus on that when he came up with the idea of Robotech Academy.
Now I see the path I must take. No longer will I be subservient to the Regent. The time has come to act on my own.
Now, one of the most amazing things about this whole Kickstarter campaign is that you actually get rewards for helping out the production. And anywhere from a copy of the pilot to having your likeness appear in the actual pilot.
There are combo packs, there are digital copies, programs.
Autographed copies of some of my artwork.
You can participate as an associate producer.
This is like one chance for you as a fan to be part of this production where the fans can be the backers and be the ones who help make it happen.
It's really an incredible opportunity. It's designed for fans across the spectrum.
So, with your help, we hope to bring to you soon the exciting new world of Robotech Academy.
You're the reason we're here after nearly 30 years, and we want to thank you. And this is the way we can do it.
We should all thank Carl for this because he was the one who came up with this idea. I actually want to show you some of the rough designs for the Academy itself. This is actually based on a moon around Mars, and so this is in Mars orbit, and so hence Mars is a theme that plays heavily into the later generations of Robotech. And so this is some of the connective work where you're starting to understand where all these things are starting to come together. And here's the beauty shot done by Mr. Cesar Totoro. Excellent effects. Here, play that back again. Nice look shot. And so that is the Robotech Academy itself. And also on our Kickstarter page where we're doing the campaign, we're putting up some of the awesome pre-production art as part of our regular updates. So this is basically the layout of the Academy, how it functions. The worlds that you're going to visit, since this is based in Sentinel's worlds, some of these places that you always wanted to visit, the destinations that were supposed to happen in the Sentinels have the series would occur during Robotech Academy. And here's some of the character designs. Here we have Lindsay, who's an old close associate of Jack Baker from the Sentinels. And Zor. Now, there's folks wondering, hey, wait, I thought Zor was dead. But the Zor who died was actually a clone. And so if you know that he's a guy who can be cloned and can come back and can die, dying is irrelevant. He's basically the Kenny of the Robotech universe. So, let's see, let's see, next, also we have Rolf Emerson. And so, we're not going to pull a Kenny on him. He's cool, but it tells you where in the timeline this is occurring. And also, there's little touches with this uniform design where you can start to see the look of the Sentinels and the Southern Cross starting to bridge with the Shadow Chronicles. So you'll see some of that in the design work as well. And here's some of the mysterious new vessels and mecha that we're designing. No cameras running?
No, not at all.
Yeah, this one's an actual cool ship. We're actually going to post some more images about how this ship functions. This one is actually really cool. I love this artist who's putting all this material together. Some of this we're actually having put together in 3D. And then let's see, new design here. Yes, you know, we know where the world is going. So, and oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh,
He's not a drone.
Let's see. Okay. I apologize for advancing kind of quickly. You know, it wasn't just that this stuff is kind of secret. It's also we have some really cool material to cover. Greg, do you remember the summary that you did, or should I just play back the video? Yeah. You know what? I'll play back the video because he was really well rehearsed that day. So here we go. Oops. Oh, wrong one. Here.
I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Robotech Academy. The Robotech Academy occurs concurrently with the unfinished Sentinel storyline, the Robotech saga. By this time, the Earth has been ravaged by decades of interplanetary war. The Robotech Expeditionary Force, commanded by Admiral Rick Hunter, aboard the STF-3, has departed for the homeworld of the Robotech Masters to draw the battle away from Earth. So the officers of the Expeditionary Force have placed their greatest treasures, their children, in the Robotech Academy. Based on a moon in orbit around Mars, the Academy was created as a safe haven for these young cadets. However, as the Academy also functions as a research center for advanced robotechnology, it becomes an inviting target. The story focuses on a fresh class of young characters, including child prodigy Wally and the swashbuckling teen pilot Lindsay, who is an old rival and associate of Jack Baker. Their lives are turned upside down when the Academy is attacked by alien fanatics who call themselves the Children of Zor, trying to reclaim the lost secrets of robotechnology, which they believe to be rightfully theirs. Unbeknownst to the new class, this treasure trove of robotechnology just happens to be hidden right under everybody's noses throughout the Academy, in places such as the campus museum. In an unexpected maneuver that saves the lives of the young student body, an experimental spacefold drive is activated, which suddenly transports the cadets away from the battle. However, they end up in a distant, uncharted region of the galaxy, and their supply of protoculture used to power the spacefold drive is extremely limited. Valuable clues to lead them out of their predicament have been left behind by none other than the originator of robotechnology itself, Zor. They discovered the path that Zor's ship had once taken before it eventually crashed on planet Earth. This next generation of heroes must rise to the challenge, facing mysterious aliens and making difficult choices as they rely on their wits. They have to scavenge prototype mecha hidden across the campus and journey past a series of alien worlds to find their way back home, or at least rendezvous with the Robotech Expeditionary Force. And you'll also see familiar faces from the Robotech leadership, such as Rolf Emerson, Anatole Leonard, Dr. Lang, and Rick.
Hey guys!
Tony, how you doing?
What are you guys up to?
Actually, Tony couldn't make it here for us, so we're actually going to play a pre-tape clip from Tony for you guys. So here we go.
I'm Tony Oliver, the voice of Rick Hunter from Robotech.
And you'll also see familiar faces from the Robotech leadership, such as Rolf Emerson, Anatole Leonard, Dr. Lang, and Rick.
Hey guys!
Tony, how you doing?
What are you guys up to? Aside from Rick Hunter and Robotech, I'm the voice of Lupin III, I lead that voice in Gadgard. I was the head writer and co-producer of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers back in the day. And I do lots of games and video games and anime. Robotech was the first series that I ever did. And the fact is that's where my career started. So it's an important part of my life and my career. And without Robotech, I don't know where I'd be. But it was an important thing. I learned a lot in that career. I met Carl Masek, who really gave me a lot of encouragement, and frankly, I was surprised he gave me a part at all. I was very untried back then. And got to know a lot of people that I still work with today and have been instrumental in my life and career. After we did the series, it came out, and I was really surprised at how well it did. And suddenly I was on television, and Carl, a short time later, calls us up and says, "We want to continue and do some new episodes of this thing called Robotech Sentinels." And as always, he was always a man on a mission, and that's kind of this force of nature. And he kind of forced it through and worked it out, and actually got to do a few episodes. And I don't know how much more disappointed he was than the rest of us, but I think all of us combined was not as disappointed as he was when we couldn't continue the show. After Robotech left the air, as usual, you just think that's it. It's done. It's out of home video land, and we're all finished with it. But many years later, I get a phone call, and suddenly there was a video game. And that was cool because we got together with a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while. Some of them I work with, and some of them, we work on different kinds of shows. And that was very cool. And then I thought, well, that's it. And then just a couple of years later, I get a phone call to come in, and then they had a whole new show, a whole new film this time, a feature film called Shadow Chronicles. And they wanted me to reprise my role, which was interesting because, when in the original show, I was this 17-year-old jet fighter pilot, and now in Shadow Chronicles, I'm a seasoned admiral who's been through a lot. It was an interesting thing to revisit the character, to come back to it, to play in that universe again, and to work with people that I had started my career with, and now here we are, well into careers, and we're still doing this. While it was cool to pick up where the story left off and kind of see what happened with Scott and find out Admiral Hunter and the rest were coming back, it always left me wondering what happened to the intro. I knew Carl had some great plans for Sentinels and where all that was going to go, and he shared some of them with us, but not many of them. And now, Shadow Chronicles picks up right after that. I'd really love to know what happened in the middle. And the best way for me to know would be if we do the show. What would be cool if we could do Robotech Academy is that we could kind of finish where Carl started. His dreams of story were always very elaborate and interesting, and twists upon twists. Quite the raconteur storyteller, even outside of this genre. But it's always, the Sentinels especially, kind of left an unfinished, unsatisfying feeling with myself, and I think it would be a wonderful thing if we could honor Carl's memory by finishing what he started and making him live who he wanted. To the longtime Robotech fans, what I want to say is thanks. It's been a great several decades, and it's heartening to meet people who feel the same way about story design and that appreciate this art form and appreciate the vision that Carl had. And to all of you, I want to say thank you very much. Because of you, we have a wonderful thing that's lasted all this time, and I got to have a career, and hopefully we all got to live this story together. This is Admiral Hunter. I want you to enlist in the Robotech Academy. Join us.
Yeah, that clip actually just went up, so you guys were among the first to see this. Actually, you did hear correctly that the Academy gets misplaced. Oh yeah. Oh, there was a little. You know what? If you go on robotechacademy.com, you can hear what was going on. We're basically being fanboys and we were clapping. We're like, oh, come on. So yes, you heard correctly. The Academy is actually spaceport capable. So here's a very awesome effect that Cesar had put together, and this is from the surface of Mars. Oh yeah, I didn't turn Mars upside down. No, but that's just the video card projector. Strange things. So okay, since we're actually a little tight on time, do we have any questions? Yes. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, how much are you trying to raise to
Well, okay.
Academy? And
For Robotech Academy, for a pilot episode, we want it not to just be a run-of-the-mill episode. We want it to be good OVA quality, and it also needs a lot of pre-production design. For the first episode, we need to design all the characters, which are typical episode. So the first episode is always the most expensive, and we're estimating about $500,000 for the first episode, which is a unique case. And right now, we're slightly over halfway in the time mark. We have about a little over 2 weeks left, and we've raised about a little over 1/3 of the money. So we're hoping, crossing our fingers, that during the second half we'll raise a little more. Yes?
Also, does this mean that Shadow Chronicles you're not continuing?
Oh, no, absolutely not. This is the second question, but I think it's important, is the reason why we push this forward is nobody wanted Carl to pass away. The thing is, because that has happened, we actually prioritize all his unfinished projects and finish them first. So that's actually why a lot of these projects, like Love Live Live, got shoved to the front of the priority list. So, yes, thank you.
All right, for the first 2 people who asked questions, we do have prizes here. The soundtrack for the Robotech The Shadow Chronicles, signed by Scott Glasgow, the composer. So if you want to come out. Yes. They're also out of print, the CD versions. They're going digital only now.
So my question is, for the Robotech Academy, are we going to be able to see like some of the older mecha fighting older mecha, like battle pods versus other tanks, cyclones versus,
not so much. I think what we're going to see is we're like what you saw earlier is we're actually inventing a lot of in-between mecha. So mecha that has characteristics in between the sagas. So that's actually what we want to do here, which is kind of like what the second and third generation was, which is just introducing a whole slew of new mecha this time around.
Thank you.
My question is about enemy mecha. What type of enemy mecha do you think we could see in the Robotech Academy?
I'm sorry?
And the enemy mecha that they'll be going against.
Oh, yeah. We haven't gotten to that yet, but we will show some, basically, since this is children's or the theme will be Power of 3.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, there's one thing I want to add. This is kind of like a last-minute thing, is because we have good partners with Palladium Books, some of the mecha designs that we're showing here, we're also going to be sharing with Kevin Simbita at Palladium. And so one of the awesome things we're going to be doing as like a cooperation between our Kickstarters is we're going to put some exclusives on our Kickstarter page, where if you're one of the backers and this Kickstarter succeeds, you'll get early access to some of these exclusive new mecha as gaming pieces. Yes, sir.
My question is, with the Sentinels also kind of set off to the side, we having kind of snippets into the other story with the Academy set in.
Oh, sorry, I was just getting distracted by this awesome 3D print. Because we now, we don't just design on paper, all this stuff is being basically built in CG. We can 3D print our new stuff. Wow, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, there you go. You know what? We're gonna put the wireframe turnaround on the website, like an animated GIF of that or something like that. Yeah, this is awesome. Come to the Robotech Execute on the mezzanine to get a quick look at that. Sorry for interrupting you. Sorry. Even I get surprised at your panel.
Yeah. No, my question was, since you're doing the Academy, will you have like snippets into the Sentinels as well that play into the story?
Yes. So you know what it's going to be? This is what I would love it to be like. Is of course we have produced it yet, but I think it would be awesome to be a little bit like Back to the Future 2, where they're catching up with the events of the Expeditionary Force. So events that were supposed to happen in Sentinels, kids will catch up with it and they'll like see snippets of the Sentinels events occurring before their eyes. I How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Hi. Well, forever there have been like rumors about a live-action Robotech. Is there any truth to it? And if not, can I have the job?
Yes, there are. It is absolutely true that there are rumors about Robotech. But if you want a job, right now the studio to get it at is Warner Brothers Pictures. That's a very large organization.
Hi. So we just learned about it today, and just wanted to find out this: the Kickstarter doesn't quite make it in the timelines. Is there still a backup plan, or is there something to be done with it, or is it really all or nothing?
Well, we're kind of taking a fight attitude. We want this to happen, of course. But yeah, the reality is if the Kickstarter doesn't happen, it's not like Indiegogo. What happens with Kickstarter is we just give the funds back, and then like the exclusive rewards, like some of the awesome rewards, like you get to be a character in the episode. Of course that won't happen because the Kickstarter didn't go through. The reason why we did it that way is whether we hire the actor for one day for a 5-minute piece or a full episode, it costs the same. It's a SAG rate. That's the way unions work in Los Angeles. And we kind of thought, hey, maybe we could do a half episode if we don't fund all the way like on Indiegogo. But the way the costs work, just we did all the cost analyses and it doesn't work. We were just kind of like, you know what? Let's stick our necks out. Let's go for broke and see what happens. And so that's why we did it so big. Instead of doing like, what if we just do a little 5-minute teaser, at like a quarter of the Kickstarter cost? And we just kind of thought to ourselves, we can make something sexy, at that length, but we just didn't think the fans would get as excited as a full-blown episode. Thank you.
Hi, so with Robotech Academy and Rob Feverson being on the Academy, so it's obviously he's not on Earth yet with Dana from 16, 17. So does that mean like Dana Bowie would be like 9, 10 years old era, like in the beginning of the Sentinels? Will we actually see the launch of the SDF3 going towards Tyrol?
You'll see some crossover with some of the events. One of the things, and this is something that's occurred recently, is early on in the Robotech universe, everybody loved these, the year 2009, the year 2012, when this happened. And of course now it's kind of biting us in the behind because, we've caught up with the future. So according to the Macro Saga timeline, the world has already been blown up and SDF1 has already gone into space. So one of the things we're doing this time around is, of course, it's in the Robotech universe, and I suppose that, in published materials, we'll lock down some of the dates, but for the sake of the storytelling, it's not really as important for the storytelling, except for the continuity notes. We'll make sure we have things lined up, but yeah, I don't think we're going to have strict dates as quite like the original Robotech episodes were, because otherwise it doesn't stay as timeless. You catch up with the future quite a lot, which is unfortunately the case with these near future science fiction stories. Like, anybody remembers Buck Rogers launching on the last space shuttle in 1987? Yeah. Yes. Thank you. All right.
So you had mentioned that Palladium is going to be creating miniatures for the Robotech Academy.
Yes, that's something we're working on. Yes.
Are there any plans for them to release a supplemental rulebook so that we actually have stats for those of us who use it?
No, absolutely. Along with the pieces, you would have to have the stats. Yes, that is correct.
But no other, like a rulebook supplement or something along those lines?
We're not sure yet, because this is actually something, they just got the Macro Saga out, they haven't worked on the other sagas yet, so this is actually kind of like a new bridge for us across.
There's a market out there for us.
Yeah. Since they gave us a 5-minute warning, like a little more over a minute ago, do you have a question?
Well, Tommy, my question is, it's a fairly expensive episode to kickstart. Let's say it's a success, and I guess we're going to be kickstarting the other episodes. I'm wondering, if they'll be less expensive to Kickstarter.
No, that's what we're hoping is, if the first episode is funded, where a lot of pre-production takes place, and the first episode is the most expensive, then the character's already designed, you know, the story outline's already there, then we get over the biggest hump, and then the remainder of the work comes in easier, yes.
Cool, thanks.
Alright, like, the enemies in this new series you're creating, like, when I heard that they were children of Zor, and then I heard what they were trying to be up to, like, they're trying to go after the lost technology, right, and the protoculture and all that, I was like, again, you know, like, am I wrong, or is there something new going on with that?
Okay, so, I'm sorry, can you be more specific?
I mean, like, they were, like, from what that thing showed me, they were like, so they were after, it said, like, but they're after, like, old technology or something like that, or they're after the protoculture, or they're after the remains of something. And it sounded similar to, like the original series enemies, which were the, I think it was in Trouble?
No.
And now I'm wondering if it relates to Macross Frontier.
Yeah, no, we're, this is a different group, and we're not going to have the side gag of like these guys saw girls for the first time. No, this is a different group. You know. And of course, you notice 3 heads, you know, Tara 3. So for those of you who are really into the Masters, fans will be happy that the fans who thought that the Robotech Masters didn't get that one. We got a 1 more question warning. Who wants to be the last question? The gentleman was standing right behind you. The guy with the red sash.
Hey, how you doing? First off, I'd like to thank you guys. As a younger viewer of the show, it was always felt like, you know, my dad's show, the thing he kind of thrust upon me, and I love the original series. Like, I even went out and bought the naval cap and the SDF one, like he has over there, it's crossed off the top. What I was really enticed about the original show was how well the character design worked out in terms of costuming and how their uniforms worked out. So in the new series, will the uniforms be more like the old series, or are they still going to be in that transitional period where they're going to be looking about the same in between?
No, you'll notice that there's transitional, but there is one thing that we do like is we have a lot of military fans, and we love to pay attention to military tradition, especially naval tradition in space. So, you know, because we think that looks fabulous. So, oh, and we got the stop sign. We're all done. So, hey, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Exclusive Robotech cards here, or if you can't get it, come to the Robotech X booth on the mezzanine.